Welcome back, everybody. We are here with another episode. J-Mac is not with us this week. He is living life up, checking out the Steelers versus the Cowboys this weekend in Pittsburgh. So it's just going to be me, but we are here to break down the latest album from one of the favorite artists that we had on the show last year, Toosii. Last year, we really liked his project, Najur. It was his debut studio album. He ended up winning the award that we gave out for Best New Artist. Overall, showing a really, really diverse and unique sound, taking some of those melodic R&B rap aspects from artists like Drake, Gunna, Young Thug, Bryson Tiller, and Black, and also taking it in his own direction. I really like the storytelling on that album, and this obviously the sound that he brought along with it. Definitely a unique voice up and coming in the hip hop game right now. And wanted to check out his newest project, Jaded, which just came out. He's been dropping a few singles over the summer that I've really enjoyed, including Where You Been a few months ago. Overall, again, an artist that I was really excited to see his growth and development. And we do get a lot of that here on this project. There's definitely maturity in the production choices, in the vocals. A lot more professionally done, a lot more well-rounded. It feels like a more complete and well put together project than the original one does. But overall, I will say it left a lot to be desired for me. It definitely felt like he took a little bit more of a step into the mainstream, doing a lot of what those other artists that I mentioned have already done before, and also straying from things that made him unique in the first place. And I'll kind of get more into that as we go through some of our categories here. Up first, we've got our production. Again, like I said, definitely a drawing factor to this album. I really like the acoustic R&B hip hop blends that he chooses. It's better and more well-rounded than the first time. The mixing and mastering, again, is a little more professional, but not necessarily anything outside of the box of what other artists have been doing in this similar lane of melodic hip-hop, R&B, rap kind of stuff. Again, it feels like something that Black or Bryson Tiller has done better before. Even artists like Gunna and Young Thug have kind of gone into similar avenues. But overall, like I said, still a drawing factor. There's a lot of cool beats on here, a lot of things that will kind of make you nod your head along with it. A lot of memorable stuff. So I did give the production a 7. Overall, it's pretty solid. Moving into the vocal portion of the album, this is where I feel like Toosii's draw really is. The flows, the vocal deliveries, and the inflections that he uses on the album are all very unique from his from other artists in his avenue. It's kind of what set him apart originally. One of the reasons why he won Best New Artist when we gave out our awards at the end of last year. And again, here, definitely the best aspect of the album. There is, again, a lot of that maturity and professionalism in the vocal deliveries. It improves on the past album that he did, establishing him to me as one of the best melodic rappers coming up right now. I really, really like the sound that he brings. There is a few moments where the flows do fall a little bit off beat in kind of an uncharacteristic way. And a few moments where he kind of comes across just lazy or lackadaisical in his vocal performance. And I'll kind of get more into that later. But overall, very, very happy with the vocals on this album. I really like the range that he shows. And again, I really like the flows and the way that he sets himself apart from a lot of what is going on in the melodic rap scene right now. Overall, it was an 8 for me. But to move into the lyrics, this was a category for me that does take a big hit on this album. I did give it a 5. It's really nothing special. It's rehashed ideas from his own works, rehashed ideas from things that every other artist in this melodic R&B hip hop scene is doing. It strays from the kind of personal, familial struggle, storytelling hardships that really made his first album so unique and so memorable and so accessible. And it kind of goes in the avenue of things that you've already heard done a million times by other artists and done much better, I would say, by other artists, into kind of writing about the struggles of lavish living, the struggles of relationships, and it really just becomes more shallow and less interesting than what he did on the first project. So again, the lyrics were a 5 here for me. Nothing really special. We do occasionally get some cool moments, especially on Sticks and Stones. I really liked that one towards the end of the album. And kind of continuing on with this thought, going into the theme, this idea of what the album title, gets across to us, Jaded. It is very kind of just laid back. You get the idea that he's pretty jaded and bored with and frustrated with the whole scene of lavish lifestyle that fame has brought to him. Again, for me personally, this just isn't a very compelling story or idea or concept in the first place. It's just been rehashed so many times. It's not inspiring, intriguing, or even really well executed, even if it weren't to be very interesting to me or what I feel like a good idea for an album would be. It just isn't very well executed. It comes across more lazy than anything at most of the times where you're getting this kind of sense of being jaded with the industry and with people taking advantage of him and with fame not necessarily resolving all of his problems. It's really just not all that well executed. So the theme is a 5 for me. It is a pretty well established idea throughout the album. We get a lot of resolution on the ideas he does bring up, kind of in saying that a lot of these things are leaving him feeling jaded. But overall, it's just not very well done to me. But that does bring us into the feature section of the album. We do get a few unique features that we haven't gotten from him before, with artists like Gunna or Kehlani, as well as Muni Long appearing later on the album. We get some cool samples here and there. I do really like the performances here. Kehlani and Gunna both stand out. They perform really well on the project. But I do think it could have used some improved variety and some additional feature presence to kind of make it a little bit more memorable in some regards. We get a lot of Toosii, even though it is only a 36-minute listen. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, I really like his performance vocally and in terms of the production for the most part, but it would have been nice to hear a little more variety that shows up rather than just a couple here and there. But overall, nothing really that I would hold too much against the album. It is a 7 on the features for me. Overall, very solid performances, like I said. And those tracks that Kehlani and Gunna appear on are 2 of my favorites on the album. I really like those. But to move into our final category here to talk about the replay value of the album, there's definitely some good tracks worth coming back to. Again, his performance is very cool. He really does truly establish himself here as one of my favorite melodic rappers right now. He's doing things that other artists have established in the past, like our artists that I've mentioned, Drake, Gunna, Young Thug, Bryson Tiller, and the likes there. But he does just show that he's doing it at a level that most of them aren't right now. Taking those 2 things, rapping in a way that Drake just isn't doing right now, providing melodic flows and vocal deliveries in a way that Gunna and Young Thug haven't been doing as well lately. And really, there are some good tracks that are worth coming back to. But for me, overall, it's nothing that he and other artists haven't done better in the past. There's projects that are similar to this that I like more. Even his last project, Najur, I feel is a far superior album experience and well executed storytelling piece in his discography. But like I said, there are some redemptive qualities here, some tracks that I really enjoyed. The replay value will get a 6 for me. But it is definitely worth a listen. Again, there's some highs and some lows here. It does move in a decent direction in terms of how well it's put together. It does feel more professional, more cohesive, more well done, especially when we're talking production, mixing, mastering, and vocals. But he does stray from some of the core proponents, his storytelling and his lyrical abilities to describe his hardships that really made me interested in him as an artist in the first place, into things that are just less accessible, less interesting to listen to, and less well done in terms of things that have been written similarly by other artists in the past. Um, to get into a few of my favorite tracks here, though, the best to me is the opener, "Meet Me Outside." When it started going, I was really intrigued by the production. I really liked his vocal delivery. I really thought that we were going to be in for a great and interesting listen. And that does carry on for a few tracks where I was like really excited that this might be one of my favorite projects of the year. But ultimately, we get into tracks like New Corvette a little bit later that I was pretty bored with. I didn't really find it all that interesting. It was ideas that he had rehashed already on the album. It wasn't anything unique production wise, vocal wise. Um, and that is why that one takes the cake right now for the worst song on the album to me. But there are a couple in that same avenue where it's rehashed sound ideas in terms of the sound and in the content that we're getting. But to move into another track that I really, really liked, the most underrated track to me right now is the closer. I really liked both the opening and the closing here. Sticks and Stones, very unique stylistically compared to the rest of the album. And this is one of the few tracks where I really, really did enjoy his storytelling and the writing and what he was talking about, taking this very common idea that we've all heard before, but doing something very unique with it and presenting it in a way that was very interesting and very cool, with some awesome acoustic production. I really, really like that track. And so ultimately for me, this album not going to age as one of my favorites ever, not even going to age as one of my favorites on the year, but ultimately a good step in the right direction. It does give me some hope for Toosii as an artist going forward, that we are going to get some cool music from him going forward. Hopefully that he'll be able to pair this with more of the pros here on this album with the things that made that first album so good. It feels like we kind of get more of the things that he didn't do well on the first project on this one, and vice versa. We get less of the things that were what made that first project so great. So it does give me a lot of hope that eventually we'll get something really, really good from him overall. And again, that's not to say that this is even a terrible project. Ultimately, for me, it's between a 6 and a 6.5. Nothing that special, but a project that I will say I enjoyed. There's definitely tracks that I'll come back to. And again, to me right now, he is one of the best melodic rappers up and coming. And even just in general, for me personally, he's one of my favorites doing it right now. Um, if you have listened to this album, go ahead and drop me a comment here. Let me know what you thought of this project, and let me know what you think of Toosii as an artist. Other than that, we'll be back next week with another episode. We'll see what the future will hold as far as that. We've got a lot of albums that are coming out soon here. A lot of great movies as well. So we'll see what we end up talking about. But overall, until next time, thank you all so much for checking this out. And if you do, again, listen to this album, let me know what you guys thought.